Hello, Mr. AJ.
Hi, Holiness. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today. As a
It's a
first
pleasure.
driving NTEEP and as a CEO of Nomfro Technologies, you're welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Your journey is nothing short of inspiring. From vision to impact, you have built a platform that is changing the face of entrepreneurship across Africa. We are
Mm.
thrilled to dive into your story, your mission, and the wisdom you have for every dreamer out there. So you're welcome once again.
Thank you for having me again. Um, it's a pleasure to be here, really.
Let's take it from the top. Where did your journey really begin?
I think that is an interesting question you just asked me. My journey to entrepreneurship started when um, I was in high school, when some of my colleagues would go broke, for example, and I thought to myself, this is a problem, right? And you will see them try run around to try to sell off their items and all of that. And so what I decided to do is to buy them off, right? So I'm going to buy whether you're selling your iron. Instead of selling the iron, I simply lend you some of the money and then I keep what you have. And then when you have the money, then you bring it to me. You just need to add some profit and you collect your item. So for me, that was solving a problem. At the same time, also making a living while I was still in high school for myself. So basically, from that time on, I felt very, very, comfortable and much interested in entrepreneurship, the freedom to do what I want to do, solving problems, and at the same time making a living. For me, that was just what I wanted to see.
Wow, wow, that's so interesting. That's so interesting. Okay, when you launched Nemfro Technologies, what was the original dream and how was
Oh,
that vision grown or evolved since then?
so um, in 2020, when I returned to Nigeria, for me, the whole thing was to build um, a simple IT service provider that will provide professional, high quality IT services. Not only that, but also at a cost that the market can afford. Because I look at major competitors in the industry before coming into industry that offer high IT quality services. The major challenge was that startups couldn't afford most of these providers. And so for me, then you also have some of the startups then who were coming into the market, but the problem you would have is the quality of the services they were providing. So there was this huge gap between having a professional service provider who would actually provide you with affordable or cost-effective service as a startups. And for me, that was the major dream for Nomfro Technologies. We believe that if we can target the startups because they are the major engine behind enterprise growth or economic growth in the future. So if we target them young, then we grow together. The whole vision behind Nomfro Technologies, in a nutshell, was to provide high quality, affordable IT services, whether it is from software development, IT consultancies, server management, IT, remote IT services, and etc. So basically, those are some of the services, and the whole vision was to provide this at the lowest cost possible because I figured that a lot of enterprises needed to jump on the digital world, but the challenge was not that they were not willing to adopt it, but they couldn't afford it. And for me, that was a gap that needed to be filled. Holiness.
Wow, that's very interesting. Every success story has its battles. Every success story, we all know that it has its battles. So, what was one major challenge? What was one major challenge you faced building your business, and how did you power through it?
Hmm. I mean, the Nigerian business landscape, or I would say doing business in Nigeria, especially in IT, where we have a lot of opportunities. That's true, but one for me, one major challenge that I would say stood out for me would be we had a lot of technophobia. These enterprises struggling with whether to believe in the digital world or not. So the major challenge was to convince or to get these startups to accept these services, right? Because for most of them, when you just say software, automate your business, and all of that, it was a whole lot of, yeah, we know that. So it was quite a challenge. But for us, one way we dealt with that challenge was simply provide the service instead of collecting the money in advance. We actually started by providing some of our customers with these services, and they paid us after the service has been delivered. Although there was also this challenge of struggling to get the money from some of them, but we didn't just started with building services that they will not benefit from. We make sure that would actually provide a better way to automate their services, which reduce whether it's cost of labor and all of that. So at the end of the day, they were happy to pay off because they don't want to lose access to such service. And if you don't have a very big portfolio, then the very easy thing to do is to get yourself a portfolio, and that is what we did.
Wow. Thank you. I'm really learning a lot from all this whole experience. Okay, let's talk about leadership. We have been the brain
Happy
behind
to hear
it.
that.
So what's your philosophy when it comes to leading teams and building culture at both Nemfro and NTEP?
That's an interesting question. I think personally, I believe in collaboration, uh, building a team that collaborate. We always have this, I think, belief when it comes to building um, a company culture that um, NTEP or NOMFRO should be able to function whether I'm around or whether any of the team member is around or not. And this is because we are working so hard to build this kind of team where every single team member feel the sense of belonging. Intel, for example, Intel will call it a movement in the sense that every single person that is part of Intel, but is a member of a movement. And for us, that is the key. This allows give a sense of belonging, which is genuine, by the way, to each and every member of our team. So for me, that's what I just believe. Building a team that every single individual does not feel um, like they have to be told what to do. So building a kind of team where people can work with less supervision, and whether in the case of where there is an emergency or anything that needs to be done, team members can independently engage and start working on a project. For me, that's very important. In the case of Nomfro Technologies, generally speaking, not just that we believe the same as of that Intel, I also believe um, in building a culture, this company culture where every single team member again can feel free to contribute. We see ourselves as family. We come to contribute to grow the company collectively, so we don't have the. I'm glad you used the term leadership because we don't really believe in the boss time sort of, and that is why when you see all of us, you will almost think that everyone is the same position, although we have the normal company structure, hierarchy, and all of that. But we want everyone to be free to be able to contribute, express themselves when necessary. And not only that, but also to be able to build themselves. That for me is very important. And for at Nomfro, that is one important aspect of our company. Holiness.
Thank you so much. So, like they said, behind every great leader is often a great support system. So, do you have mentors or key people who helped shape your path? How did they influence your journey?
Hmm. That's a very good question, right? And these
Yes.
days, not many people are interested in having mentors, interestingly, which is sad. But for me, it has always been the case of looking up to someone, right? I'll be honest with you. And I have had a lot of mentors. It just depends on which area, whether it's in the case of business mentor, spiritual mentor, just life generally mentors. I've had a lot of them. I've also had a lot of inspiration. And so I'm going to give you some few, right, that I think worth mentioning. And I will start with personally, one person that has influenced my life when it comes to NTEEP, for example, right, Tony Dumelu himself. Um, I think for me, he has been an inspiration looking at his journey, the risks he took at the at the right time, whether it's in the banking industry. He has always not run after the so-called what is working. I see him always running opposite what everyone else. I remember as at the time he jumped into banking, for example, that was when everyone was exiting, right? And he was ready to take the risks. But the point is that he has been an inspiration for me when it comes to what I do, whether it's NTEP, whether it's Nomfro Technologies, the vision of reaching out to the entire continent and all of that. He has been really an inspiration. And one other person that I think has influenced my life so much is that would be my bishop, right? He's also my daddy. Bishop David Kings has really influenced my life, and this whether it's from spiritual perspective, discipline. Because one thing that I think we lack as startups is discipline. You can have the biggest dream, but if you are not disciplined enough, then you will not go far. And for me, that has really, just to name a few people who has influenced my life the most, basically. So, but for like you said, there is always someone that inspire you, someone you look up to, and I have a lot of them up till today. As someone that you talk to when you don't know what else to do, and sometimes you don't even have access to the person, but you just look at their story. I encourage entrepreneurs to study people who they would like to be like. Because sometimes you don't really have to have access to the person. Just studying their life studying their journey allows you to see through their decisions, their choices, their mistakes, and how they overcome them. And for me, um, that is very, very important today and tomorrow. I'm never too grown or too smart or too know to get a mentor. For me, that's just
All right. Thank you so much. Talking about mentors and people that we looked up to. So, NTEP plays a strong emphasis on tech and digital tools. In your
it.
view, how crucial is digital empowerment to Africa's future in business and innovation?
Basically, there can be no meaningful growth without proper digital infrastructure in Africa. Not anywhere, because the world is changing, whether it's business. And remember that the whole idea of business is around solution to a society, right? Or to a
Mm,
community generally. So if Africa would grow at a pace that is projected to grow, then embracing digital platforms is key. And I'll give you an example, whether it's for example, the digital platforms connect us. We are having this interview from two very separate locations and very far apart. I'm just imagining that if this were to be a physical interview, this would probably be, it would take us months to plan this, right? So that's just one easy example, right? And then So social, whether you're thinking of social media, smart housing, and all of that, the entire world is changing, evolving, and Africa is still very green, which presents a lot of opportunities as far as the digital um, landscape is concerned. Africa, not only that, we also have so much human resource, right? And I think we can tap into this, and this will help us evolve faster than anyone had ever imagined. So I think it's very, very crucial. It's not an option. It's something that is urgently needed. And it's not always about just talking about it. It's also putting into practice, whether it's um, laws that enacting laws that would actually support genuine digital growth, whether is adopting whether, indigenous digital infrastructure, such as building infrastructure, such as maybe whether it's data farms, making sure that we are able to contain, account for, regulate our own data locally. I think this is very, very important. But the key point is that it's no longer an option, and not only embracing it as a consumer, but as a producer for us to be able to evolve and develop technology in an African way and share it with the rest of the world. I think the world is going to see something very unique if we are able to reinvent technology from an African perspective. I think the world will be stunned, and I think that is what I'm seeing the future holds for Africa.
All right. Thank you. So, looking forward, what's next for NTEEP and Nomfro Technologies? Any bold visions or exciting expansion on the horizon?
Is the near future plan is we are getting into smart housing, working with real estate developers to provide, whether from consultations to working with them to install and also maintain smart housing infrastructures for them. Basically, for us, that's what we are working in the near future. And of course, we also have a work in progress plan to have servers, of course, data farms. Of course, we have not chosen exactly which country in Africa, but the plan is to have indigenous data center in Africa, and this already we are already doing consultations with stakeholders such as prospective investors and also professionals in the industries, home and abroad. So for us at Nomfro, basically that is the long dream. For Intep, the next step for us is we are working, of course, with partners to introduce investment to our because we understand the challenges most startups are with sophisticated ideas but lack funding for their projects, and so that we're working on. And then, of course, we are introducing an award which would allow us to be having physical meetup uh, annually that we are currently deliberating on, of course, in different locations across Africa. For us, that's basically what we are working on at the Intep right now, Holiness.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. NTEP and Nomfro Technologies. I must say, it really has big dreams. Thank you so much. So, in your experience, what's one habit or mindset you believe every aspiring entrepreneur needs to develop early?
You see, when we are already poor or having challenges in a continent and everybody wants to survive, I think that's a terrible mentality. The mentality should actually be that, oh, my people are suffering. How can I help them? And when you are helping them, you are able to earn a living in the process. So I would actually say, in a nutshell, the mentality that entrepreneurs need to develop is a solution-driven mentality, a mentality of providing solution to problems. Wake up every day, look for problems, and find solutions to the problems, and then provide those solutions. And when you provide the solutions, you now be like, yeah, you know what? I need something in returns. You look at people, you find problems and then you provide solutions to them, and then you're like, yeah, I can solve these your problems. Then you just need to give me this much and you are good to go. You will provide solutions and at the same time make money for yourself. So solution driven mentality.
What's next for you? Any new projects, goal, or passion pursuits you're excited to share?
Hmm. New project. Well, I consider myself, I always scavenge for problems, right? So which means project. And that's why for me is find a problem, identify a problem, get a solution, build a team around it, give them to continue with it, and then move on. For me, that's just it. So yes, we have projects that we are currently working on. We intend to, of course, I've been a farmer all through my life. And so we are now fully into commercial agriculture. And so we'll be looking at having um, maybe rice processing for me because we are now battling with food insecurity. So why not? It's what I've been doing all through my life. So I'm looking at getting involved in rice processing, and that is what we are currently working. Of course, with that's a separate project, different company, and we are now working with stakeholders as well to make sure that hopefully that comes to life in a year or less, depending on how fast that is able to come up. But for me, that's basically what I'm looking at.
Okay, so finally, on our last question, what's the message to the rising wave of young African entrepreneurs watching this? What's the
Hmm.
one thing you want them to hold on to?
I would say Africa generally present the future. We are the future as far as opportunities is concerned, development is concerned. So I would say, again, have a mindset of solution driven, have a solution driven mindset. Don't give up on your dream. Sometimes it becomes challenging, and as an entrepreneur, that is actually the opportunity, right? Because there are high chances of a lot of other people dropping off the road. And so if you are able to hold on long enough, then you would end up become part of the few people who would provide the larger, who will have the larger pool of the customer base generally. So I would say be persistent, have this solution-driven mindset, believe in the African dream itself. Because one thing I've learned about the African business landscape or enterprise landscape is that most of all actually struggle here in Africa. Then as soon as we start making some money, then we close up the company and run away from Africa generally. And then I keep asking myself, but why? Because you have just started building something, and wherever you're going, you cannot usually fit in as a business anymore. So always stick around long enough because the truth is that like you rightly asked before, there is always a turning point, and usually that time that things becomes harder, that's when you have actually reached your turning point. So I would say hold on long enough, avoid this money mentality where as soon as you start a business, we know that a business needs money, right? But if you are starting a business, especially if you're a service provider, I would say always start as a provider, right? Maybe as a freelance, provide your service, save long enough because sometimes we give out equity early enough, or I would say too early, and this end up affect us. I always tell startups that not all investors invest in your business because they want you to grow or because they want to make money from your business. Some investors actually are your competitors in their different businesses and they are investing in your business to kill it. We have seen this in very big enterprises, and Nokia is a major case study for me, where some companies invest in the business in order to kill it, and then Nokia didn't see it coming. And I saw it when he was giving a testimony and crying, and I was like, I mean, personally, I saw it coming anyways, because How do you get your potential competitor to invest in your business? You don't need anybody to tell you that they are going to kill it. It's just human. It is just what happened in the business world. So avoid getting investment too early because you need to be investment ready. And we have a lot of different videos on this on NTEEP every year, different speakers who talked about this. So for me, that's basically what I would advise. And also, living in the African dream is a key thing. Your business should be built to provide solution that will target. If you are building tires, build them to target your local community. Remember that the tire that will be effective in another country may not necessarily be effective in your community. If you are a farmer, please make sure that whether you're processing agricultural produce, make sure that it targets your community, the kind of food that sells in your community. That way you won't have to struggle with getting customers because it's something they're already used to. You just have to modernize it to make it more attractive and more healthier for them to consume. For me, that's just what I have to add. Pauline.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this interview, or should I call it a session? Thank you so much. Thank you once again, Mr. EJ, for sharing your powerful story and vision with us. Your work with
Thank you
NTEP
for
and Nomfro continues to create real, lasting pattern. We are honored to learn from your journey, and we know your insights will inspire many more entrepreneurs to rise, build, and lead. Thank you for everything you do, and it's good to have you. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me again.
All right, bye.